Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining across the world. And welcome to today's session, which is on trends in data, AI, and architectures. For today's session, we have with us Noel Johanna, Vice President, Principal Analyst at Forrester. We also have Ivan Novick, Product Leader for Tanzu Data at VMware, and myself, Arnab Chakraborty, Product Marketing for Tanzu Data at VMware. Now, we all know organizations everywhere are under pressure to unlock value for their data, right? But legacy challenges like silos, shifting priorities, ROI constraints make the journey really complex. And that is exactly what we are here to address today. Uh, to start with, Forrester will set the stage by sharing insights around these topics, the evolving challenges, as well as the growing importance of these factors around quality, governance, integration of different kinds of data, and what exactly is important for AI-related success with your data. Following that, Ivan will highlight the recently introduced VMware Tanzu Data Intelligence, which actually helps enterprises unify their structured, unstructured, and even semi-structured data into an AI-ready lakehouse architecture, which is purpose-built for these kind of activities around the private cloud specifically. And so we have a really packed agenda today. Let's dive straight in, handing it over to Noel.
Thanks, Arnab. This is Noel Johanna, analyst with Forrester. And today I'm going to talk about an interesting topic around AI and real-time and data architectures. Now, I, as an analyst, get to speak to a lot of customers every day. And what we're seeing out there in the industries today is that AI is becoming a very important requirement. It's becoming an important roadmap item for them. And definitely a lot of people are investing into this. But they're realizing that it's not going to be some straightforward way to get into AI. There's going to be some hurdles. And we'll be discussing about some of those hurdles, and especially what you should be preparing for today so that your environments are getting ready for AI going forward. So before we get into the AI discussion, this is a very interesting, survey which we did this year, and this is comprising of almost 1,700 data and analytics decision makers, and we asked them what are the biggest challenges in achieving your organization's objectives, right? And objectives keep on changing, I guess, right? And the number one challenge, I guess, we came across was that there are too many competing and shifting priorities, right? The priorities have been changing. We have gone through many different cycles of big data. We've gone through cycles of cloud computing, right? And now we're in the initiatives of AI as well. But in between, we also have smaller priorities as well, right? I need to do migrations. I need to provide more self-service. I need to do more business analytics and real-time insights, and there are too many of those. And I think people are realizing that we really need to actually have a better control over this, right? Especially as it comes to AI. We also are seeing challenges around lack of data skills and literacy among business users. Forrester have been talking about something known as business technology, BT. We are moving from information technology to business technology. And business technology is all about empowering the business users. This is where the industry is moving towards. We need to actually empower the business users so that we can make better decisions, quicker decisions, faster decisions, but also more intelligent decisions as well, right? And this is a big push in the industry out there. So we're going to see a big trend in the next 5-10 years around the business users really taking on faster initiatives, but also a more intelligent decisions being made by business users without relying much on the IT folks, which we normally do, actually, right? Data silos is a big thing. I think people have gotten a lot of issues around data silos. We got on-premises data, we got cloud data, we got multiple clouds. We also have edge data as well, right? And I think this has been growing. I know I was speaking to one of the customers, and they got these 25,000 databases, and they got like 24 lakes, and they're struggling with it, especially with AI. How do you get this data and systems ready for AI? Legacy systems are a big challenge. And the list goes on and on and on, right? I mean, data quality is definitely a big thing down below. A lot of people struggle with data quality. And I think data quality is going to be a very big challenge in the industry, especially when it comes to AI, because people aren't ready with data quality. It's garbage in, garbage out. The data is bad. What are you going to do? Bad analysis, right? And we'll talk more about this data quality stuff in the later slides as well. And then we got legal issues, compliance issues, and all kinds of issues going on. This is another interesting survey we did this year with the same decision makers. And we asked them, which of the following data initiatives are the most important for your organization in the next 12 months? Like, okay, what's going on, right? And basically, the most of the people are spending a lot on the data observability and profiling for improved data quality. Why are they doing that on data quality? As I mentioned earlier, that data quality is a big issue for customers, especially because we haven't really controlled and contained data. It normally takes 20, 25 days to resolve data quality issues in an organization, in a typical organization, right? And especially with real-time data coming in, how do you ensure the data is accurate? It's very well prepared for AI purposes. And as I mentioned, it's all garbage in, garbage out. And this is one of the biggest concerns people have, especially as you're getting into AI. So don't just open the doors and the platforms for, okay, here's the platform, let's use it for AI. No, make sure that you have quality data. If your data is not quality, of high quality, agentic AI or even AI will not pick up those data points so easily, and the data will be just analyzed poorly, right? Increasing literacy, business-led decision-making. I think this is business-led decision-making is going to be very important. As I mentioned, empowering the business users is going to be a very important focus for customers. AI governance, yeah, this is a big thing. Most organizations, I would say, today are focusing on a single repository at the moment of data, mostly for chatbot, conversational AI purposes. You have throwing PDF documents into the mix. You're putting files and analysis right there. But we haven't really gone to that whole unification of this data, which is in silos for AI purposes. That's coming up next, though. Probably by next year, we're going to see a lot more action around that. But right now, it's mostly contained with a single repository where this is going to go. But governance is going to be a very important play, especially as you have multiple of these silos. How do you provide a single view of that data going forward as well? Integration issues we got, and sharing data with external stakeholders is another initiative people are doing. I know integration, I would say, especially with structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, getting that unification of data is going to be critical for companies to succeed. And especially AI. AI loves all data, by the way. Traditionally, we have done only structured data analysis, right? What about unstructured data and semi-structured data? What about my images, video, documents, text files, right? Those things are going to be very, very important as well. And that's where people are going to be investing in as well in the coming years. I put together this interesting slide about agentic AI. There's a lot of discussion about agentic AI, as you can tell. And no, agentic AI requirements for data requires new approach. Very, very important. Let's go through them. Well, with agentic AI, bad data isn't useless. It's dangerous. Very important, especially in healthcare, especially in financial services, especially in security. You have to make sure the data is accurate. It's running on precision, not probability, right? Like in BI, it's all about probability, right? You're 99% accurate, that's good enough. With agentic AI, you need to be 100%. Because decisions are being made, very, very important decisions are being made by AI, and that needs to be accurate. Especially doing this integration, orchestration, curation behind the scenes. Sometimes you don't know exactly how this data got curated, orchestrated, integrated, right? Especially with agentic AI. So you got to make sure this data is precision, and that comes from data that has to be cleansed and really be governed, as well as unified as well, right? Agentic AI thrives on diversity, right? Basically, limiting data is going to be limiting your intelligence, right? It's basically, you need to, based on our analysis, only 25% of data is used for analytics over the last many decades in a typical organization. 75% of data is not used for insights. Think about it. 75% of data is not used in a typical organization. Here is an opportunity for AI to step in and take control. Well, I'm not saying that open the doors for everything, but go beyond the 25%. Why? Because it gives you better intelligence of data. Very, very important point right there. So this is going to be an important scenario going forward. So go beyond the 25% to 30%, 40%. I'm not saying go to 100% right away. Gradually grow to beyond 25%, especially and with also unstructured data and semi-structured data as well, right? And agentic AI does not scale linearly. Plan for this unpredictable demand. I know I was talking to one customer recently, and they're saying that we started to use agentic AI, and our CPU used to be 100% for these 16 CPUs they had allocated. And they're saying it's a nightmare because we never provisioned more than 16 CPUs in our budget. So we got a challenge right there. So I would say, you got to really have a scalable platform which can scale linearly, right? And I think agentic AI needs that scale, right? Be prepared for that, especially as you can't predict how much CPU and memory is going to consume behind the scenes. Unsecure, ungoverned agents are a direct threat to your enterprise data. Very important point. If you don't have a secured environment, if you don't have a protected environment, the data could be exposed. It'll be floating around in the internet, your data. Go figure. Be mindful. That's why people are cautious about it, opening the platform one at a time. Don't open, I got 1,000 platforms, let's open all the 1,000 platforms for agentic AI. Well, not a good idea. Make sure you know exactly what the data contains in those platforms. Also, agentic AI demands real-time context, tight orchestration, contextualization of data. And I think the real-time context is going to be critical, especially to doing real-time insights, right? You don't need batch data for this. That's why streaming data is taking off in a big way. You need to stream this data from all these sources and bring together for insights fairly quickly. So agentic AI is definitely going to be important from a real-time perspective. It needs real-time data, not data which is like days old or even hours old data. So be prepared for real-time data. No, my take right now is that 20% of data in an enterprise is considered real-time, but that number is growing to like 40% in the next few years. So be prepared for really putting a lot more efforts into the real-timeness of the data. So if you look at it, here are the trends, the top trends as to what's there in the data, AI, and architectures. One is real-time, as mentioned, is critical for AI. It's going to be faster time to values, decision makes, personalization. And, real-time doesn't have to be milliseconds. Seconds is good enough, especially with analytics, right? Hours may not be good enough in most circumstances, but at least seconds to maybe perhaps to 60 seconds is good enough, a minute. I've seen most companies strive for at least 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds environments. So that's good enough. Milliseconds may be needed like for fraud detection, right? Fraud, it cannot happen in 10 seconds, 50 seconds. That has to happen in milliseconds. So certain use cases will be milliseconds. Most will be seconds, so be prepared for that. Data intelligence is going to be the key. Data intelligence is all about ensuring the data has got metadata. It's got context of data, right? I would say close to about 70% of data in an organization does not have that level of intelligence, doesn't have the level of metadata associated with data. And that's the problem. And I would say this is an issue, especially with AI as well, right? How do you really provide that data of contextualization of data? Data intelligence will improve quality, decision-making, uncover insights, improve obviously responses, but also governance. And I think data intelligence is going to be a very, very important play. So I would definitely encourage you guys to invest in data intelligence, especially as it comes to ensuring that unification of data, the governance of data, but also the context of data is becoming more simplified and automated as well. A unified data platform like lakehouses have become a very important. Open table formats like Apache Iceberg, Hoodie, Deltas have become very prominent right now. No one wants to have a proprietary systems right anymore. They want to have it open so that you can actually have better control over the data, but also you can have a better ecosystem around the tooling with lakehouses, right? Improves the governance controls. It breaks down the silos and also integrates with the streaming data very easily as well. So definitely, we almost see close to 27% adoption of lakehouses today. That number has grown significantly over the last 3 years. We're going to see this number double in the next 3 years. So definitely a very strong momentum around lakehouses. AI-powered automation obviously is going to be the big focus of automating all these capabilities around data platforms. You want to make sure that time to value is there. No one wants to spend 6 months, a year trying to do use cases anymore. They want to do it in a day, right? I'm going to do customer 360 in a day, right? We're not there yet completely, but we're getting there through the automation, right? AI is automating all these things like data integration, orchestration, curation, management, governance, right? Quality and all these things. So we're seeing all this AI coming in a big way. It improves accuracy, it improves scale, performance, minimizes human errors. That's like a big thing right there, right, as well. And people save a lot of money when you have AI-powered automation. Almost 30, 40% of the savings are being done through AI automation as well. Self-service are rapidly growing as well because you're empowering the business users. We are moving information technology to business technology, as I mentioned earlier. It's time to value, faster decisions going to be made. Self-service plays a big role for IT to automate those processes and workflows and streaming platforms, but also helps the business side house for business users trying to get to the data quicker and faster without much of the help required, right? So you can get to the data with data products, for example, right? Data products being built on top of lakehouses are going to be, has been evolving over the last few years, but also data accessibility becomes a lot simpler as well. And advanced data governance and privacy is going to be critical as well. Protecting the data, discovering the data, classification, also trusted data products and meeting compliances. Now, governance is a very important topic. Over the last many decades, we have seen this conversation again and again for governance, for big data, governance for cloud. Now we're talking about governance for AI, right? Governance is going to be important. And I think as you open up the doors to the AI platforms, the agentic AI, make sure the governance are completely enabled from day one. You want to make sure it's protected and governed correctly because you don't want to get into the scenarios where you make a headline for some false reasons, you know. With that, I would like to thank you and hand it over to you guys.
Thanks, Noel.
Well, thank you so much, Noel. Really interesting information out there. And I have some questions for you, but I'll keep it towards the end. For now, let's head over to Ivan to hear what he has to say on data intelligence.
Thanks, Arnab. Thanks, Noel. So, Noel, that was great and very inspiring for the future and also re-encouraging because I think what we're doing with, I'm going to introduce to the audience here Tanzu Data Intelligence, which is over here. And I think it's well aligned to your vision and to what you're seeing in the market. So just at a high level from VMware and Tanzu, we're providing a full stack solution for that ranges from infrastructure to data to AI and application development. And it's quite similar to what you see out in the market from other folks like hyperscalers. And the data intelligence is the data component that we're going to talk about today that matches to what you were talking about with what Noel was talking about with the data platform. So who is Tanzu? So Tanzu, we have both an app platform as well as a data intelligence platform. I won't go through all the details here, but we've been known for our Cloud Foundry platform for quite some time, and we're trusted by many Fortune 100 companies to run mission critical workloads on our app platform. And on the data side, we've been known for our data warehouse and for our real-time platform, Greenplum and Gemfire. And what we're doing now, and what we started some time ago, is the integration of all these things into the Tanzu Data Intelligence platform. And so Tanzu's mission overall is to drive business velocity by accelerating ideas to code and code to production. So what that means in this context is that we're helping enterprises with their business technology, as Noel said, as opposed to their information technology. We're helping them take their ideas and from a business point of view, bring it to production as fast as possible across the data, across the AI, and across the apps. And so what we've announced in our VM Explorer conference recently is the Tanzu Data Intelligence platform, which is a full stack data intelligence platform. At the core of it is the data lakehouse architecture, like Noel mentioned, based on open table formats. And then it ranges from the full life cycle of data, starting with data ingestion to SQL query processing, compute processing, real-time data, which obviously Noel mentioned quite a bit, the relevancy of real-time data and the analytics, AI and ML use cases or services. And that's going to enables customers to both build, to work with their traditional business intelligence, but also to build new modern applications based on Gen AI as well as agentic workflows, where you combine data and AI and together with applications to build new business outcomes. So looking at the stack through and through, you can see here the lakehouse architecture, and the lakehouse architecture melds the benefits of the data lake, which is the elasticity and easy expansion of the data lake, with the open table formats based on Iceberg and Avro and Parquet and ORC files. So they're open table formats, which means they could be read and written to by multiple parties, but they can also be queried through our high performance SQL optimizer that originally comes from our Greenplum technology, but can span from native data warehousing to open table formats, as well as to federated data sources sitting outside of the lakehouse in external databases or in things like S3 or HDFS. So this unified metadata layer, which is key, as Noel was mentioning, having the data about the data, where you don't only just track where data is, but you also track annotations, tags, labels that ensure, if I'm doing an analysis on customers, that I know what are those 72 columns mean? What is that data actually in each column? I need to know exactly, and be able to track the lineage of them as well. So we agree the data lake house architecture is the foundation. And then when you link that at the beginning, you have a data loading stage, data ingestion. And so we're providing support through Tanzu Dataflow to stream data. And this will aid in real-time data workloads, that we can do streaming data through Tanzu Dataflow and process the data coming off of something like a Apache Kafka or through RabbitMQ streaming, as well as batch load. Batch load is still a thing, and we need to support batch load as well, either through native tools from Tanzu or through third-party tools like Informatica or IBM, and then from all the different sources and in all the different formats. And again, focused on both structured data, semi-structured data like JSON, but now really integrating more of the unstructured data. The unstructured data now is becoming very real in the new AI world, because AI can handle this unstructured data in new ways. And then the real time, this is what's exciting to a lot of people, is that your real-time applications, your AI applications want to be running off of 15-second, 20-second age data like Noel mentioned, not off of a daily refresh, right? And so what we're providing is the ability to, as an application developer, to be able to circle specific data sets from the lakehouse and populate them in a continual flow into a data set as a service in a real-time platform. So if you say, for example, I want to track inventory of tomatoes and bananas in order to do something really intelligent with an AI agent, the application developer with the right governance can circle that data set and say, as the inventory of bananas and tomatoes are updating, update it for me in my data set as a service, which could be, for example, a captured Postgres database where the application or the AI agent can just access that, and everything is self-contained in that little Postgres instance, but it's being updated in real time from the lakehouse. So this is exciting. And then when we talk about really integrating the unstructured data, that's where the embedding models become part of this pipeline, right? If we're going to take the voice, video, and image data, it didn't really join nicely, easily, quickly with the structured data previously. We had to use very advanced techniques before AI to do feature engineering and extract information from videos or extract information from images. But now we're not really doing that level of feature engineering. We're moved up the stack, and the images, the docs, they're being converted into vector embeddings, and those vector embeddings are being stored right next to the structured data. And then we can solve use cases like natural language search that goes across structured data and unstructured data, or even analytics going against structured data and unstructured data. And when we talk about analytics and expanding from BI to AI or AI to BI, we're talking about now the full world of unstructured data being available in the lakehouse together with the structured data, so that we can, and with the embeddings generated and linked to the original data, now clustering and discovery and recommendations can more easily, predictive analytics can more easily scale to the unstructured data, so that if I'm doing product recommendations, the descriptions of the products, the images of the products, all of this stuff is right next to the customer purchase history and the related customer purchase history. And we're even using AI models to profile customer segments and then link that with the unstructured data of the product descriptions and the product images. So really AI enhanced and powered a new form of business technology here. So that's the summary of the Tanzu Data Intelligence, and I think it ties really nicely to Noel's viewpoint on the market and where we are.
Thank you so much, Ivan. That was really insightful, really nice to know about Tanzu Data Intelligence and what it does. Now, going through this presentation, I had some questions for both of you. I'll start with you, Noel. You spoke about data silos and the fact that there are companies who are working with structured, unstructured, semi-structured data. Now, where do you see are the biggest gaps in between, say, data collection to data activation as of today in the current setup?
Yeah. I mean, the gaps, I guess, is what we see is that there's a lot of fragmentation of data when it comes from an infrastructure perspective, right? People aren't because we don't have a control over the data, and this gap actually is a challenge, right? Because the fact that how do you really bring together this silos of data together in a unified way, so that you can provide better support for agentic AI and AI. So I think the fragmentation and the silos of the data is a big challenge and a gap. The readiness, as I mentioned earlier, readiness is something which I think most organizations are still not yet there. They don't really have the data ready for AI. And you start with the foundation, there's the infrastructure, right? And all the silos you got. How do you bring them together in a unified manner? So I would say the data collection is something which is going to be important to making sure the data is being collected in real time, the data is consistent, the data is trusted, the data is actually made more valuable, especially when it comes to AI perspective. And then also having it more enabled for real-timeness of data, right? The data has to be driven for real time, especially as comes the latency perspective. The latencies has to be obviously in seconds or faster than seconds, I guess, from that perspective. So this is what we've seen, and I think the gap also exists around the quality of the data as well. Right? The quality isn't there. I think most organizations we speak to do not have high quality data, and especially as they deal with more realistic real-time data. um, I would say there's always this 90% mark which people have. At the best of the marks is like 90%. You don't really get 92 95% accuracy of data in most organizations. It's just because we're collecting data so quickly. We're collecting data from sensors, we're collecting data from log files, we're collecting data from all these applications, which is so challenging as well, right? So I would say be mindful for that gap, because that will may hurt companies, especially with AI. So the activation is going to be critical, right? But you want to make sure this gap to activation is addressed, especially by having a platform that knows the semantic, that knows the data intelligence part of it within the system, right? Going forward, right? So I would say definitely invest in that. And last not least, governance, right? I mean, there's a gap there. We are doing a very good job in governing controlled environments like lakehouses and databases and all. But when it comes to this unification across all these lakehouses, we don't really have very strong governance. I've seen that.
Right.
The policies don't span across these environments, and that's I think a big issue right there. So.
Right. In fact, you opened up, a couple of more questions for me to ask you, but I'll ask Ivan first. Ivan, when you are actually going to the market and speaking to different customers, what are the use cases that you see in the market right now?
I think there's clearly a desire to leverage AI and to leverage AI with data. And I think where people are seeing the biggest traction right now is to take their unstructured data to a new level. So the fact that that text data used to be searched through lexical analysis, and now you've got these AI models doing semantic mapping. I think people are building new project roadmaps that are linking unstructured data to structured data, and that allows them to break new ground using AI technology, and so it has both a huge business impact, but also helps them build their skill set in what everyone knows will be important for the future, which is their core AI skills. So I think mixing structured and unstructured data is hot right now.
All right. Now, Noel, to your point, when you're talking about these different experiments that different companies are trying as of today, right? How important do you think is the cost perspective, right? How predictability in data costs, how important do you think that is in evaluating modern data platforms?
Absolutely, it's critical, right? I mean, we talk about FinOps, we talk about ROI, TCOs. It's a top priority, right? I mean, no one has got unlimited budget these days. You really have to have a control around cost, especially as it comes to AI. People have gone through this big data initiatives, right? And big data was just a decade ago where people spent lots of money on big data. Yet 40% of people failed on big data. Think about it, right? So I think people are cautious about it, and I think you need to see an ROI quicker and faster. No one can wait 1 year for AI to give me ROI. We need it in months. We need it in days. Right? That's why I think the cost is going to be an important factor. The good thing is that what we've seen so far in the implementation so far is that automation can reduce a lot of efforts from people because the automation is there, right? The AI automation comes into play from optimization, from tuning, from integration, from curation, from quality, from management perspective. That really goes a long way. 30-40% of the effort can be reduced by AI today already. We obviously going to see a lot more automation in the coming years. So people already have benefiting from the automation perspective, but they're also seeing benefits from the platform perspective as well. As we talk about the lake houses, Lakehouse tends to be a lot more automated, simplified compared to legacy platforms. Hence, you can save a lot of money, right? As well, right? So the tuning and optimization goes a big way. So I would say they are cautious about it. And I would say, it's an incremental thing. Like no one is going to be investing heavily right away in AI right away, but they want to make sure there's the incremental benefits, and that's exactly the right approach to taking for AI.
Right, right. And Ivan, what would be your perspective to this? Are you also seeing this around you?
Yeah, I mean, incremental is obviously a sound approach. We always recommend a business first problem solving approach where instead of prioritizing, so Noel mentioned that 40% of big data projects failed. I think you said, was it
Yeah.
40%? Well, my hypothesis will be that the project started with the goal statement of I'm building a data lake, and not a project goal statement of I want to reduce the inventory, wasted inventory in my business. That these projects are started with an IT centric or a data centric view, not a business outcome. So we're recommending start with business outcomes, and if your technology can scale up quickly, then build a project in 10 weeks or in 10 days to show some outcomes, small outcomes that provide true business value, and then continue to grow and scale by adding new business outcomes, not by the grand opus big data project that 40% of the time doesn't deliver, but start with business outcomes.
Right. Now, one of the things that we actually discussed about and Noel presented that maybe real time is going to be really important. It's going to be critical. I don't exactly remember the figure, Noel. Was it 20% to 40% increase in the recent times?
Yeah,
What we are going to?
the number was 20% of data today in organizations tends to be real time. Does not mean that they have platforms enabled for that data. The data within an organization is about 20%, and we believe that number is going to double in the next few years, and we're going to be 100% real time for everything in the next decade. So this is where we're heading towards,
Yeah. But where do you see are the biggest barriers for this as of today?
Well, the biggest barrier is the platforms. The legacy platforms haven't been kept up for real time, right? If you think about legacy platforms, they were not built for real time. And now we got streaming data coming in. It goes in milliseconds and seconds. So how do you deal with streaming data for legacy systems, right? Legacy systems. So you really have to modernize your platform, which deals with real-time data. So you need to have a modern platform which is highly automated, which is highly integrated with the real-time streaming data and also real-time processing, which means you need to integrate with the caching of data, which means you're going to cache in memory, but you also have to leverage SSD and flash, but also you got to integrate with GPUs, so you are doing faster processing of this memory, processes as well. So real-time plays a big role, and I think you need to have really a platform which is enabled to dealing with real time, especially as it comes to AI platform as well, right? So definitely that's where the industry is going towards.
Right. Ivan, your perspective on that, especially when you see
Well,
from the perspective of TDI.
From the product side, how we're trying to solve that problem is the transmission layer between layers. So like Noel said, the legacy systems are really the data warehouse systems, and the big data systems weren't designed for real time. But by providing transmission layers whereby data can flow, and you can create data flows between the layers. So you're, for example, as data is changing in real time from the big data or from the, let's say, data lakehouse layer, it's flowing into a data set as a service, which is a real-time in-memory grid, right? So you've got change data capture from lakehouse into the in-memory grid with an organized data stream or data flow, right? That things can just be operating 24/7. So as data is being linked, combined, recombined, it's flowing into an in-memory grid, and then apps are hitting the in-memory grid, which can handle the millisecond latency.
Right, right. Now, Noel, to you, you mentioned something around regulatory requirements driving the trend that we are seeing right now. But What's your perspective on this? Regulatory requirements, are they actually a driver or a roadblock when it comes to data intelligence?
Well, it's a roadblock to some extent. I think it's right now unclear about the AI governance and compliance requirements evolving. I think there are new AI rules and regulations on the horizon. There will be some, in the US and outside the US, there are some AI regulatory things coming in play. They are still evolving. So there's always a risk factor involved. If you commit too early to these platforms, you may have to change those platforms, I guess. But I would say more is still less. When it comes to governance, the more you do, the better for you only, I would say. So definitely act upon today. You need to start controlling the metadata, the data. You need to controlling the access controls. You need to enforcing those policies across all of those data repositories, especially those who have sensitive data. Because once this regulation starts to come up, you are already prepared. And normally what we're seeing with big data and cloud is all to do with sensitive data. You need to know exactly what kind of sensitive data you're dealing with, what kind of classification you're dealing with, what kind of systems are mostly vulnerable. Those you need to be ahead of time, right? And if you start doing those things today, then you're already well prepared to meet any of those AI, governance rules coming down the pipeline. So I would say, yeah, it's very important. You need to actually have, things like control privileges. You need to actually have minimum, enforcement. You need to actually have enforcements, but you don't need to have minimum access controls, which means don't give everybody full access controls, especially when it comes to agentic AI, right? You want to make sure agentic AI is only getting the data that's needed. Some of the companies I've spoken to are leveraging data products for being integrated with data with the AI agents, as opposed to getting AI agents to getting all the data, right? When you have AI agents leveraging all data, that could be somewhat vulnerable depending on how you configure it. But going through data products integration is definitely something which is more controllable. But I would say also ensuring auditing, monitoring is enabled so that people are protected with that data sets, So those are some things which people should enforce,
Yeah, Ivan, you wanted to
Yeah,
add
no,
something?
I would reinforce I love the data products concept. And so that's our one of the, like Noel mentioned, there's different layers of protection, right? But some of them, like role-based access control, are well known. But the data product's interesting, right? Because if you know that I've got these AI agents and they should only never need to operate on a certain scope of data, then let's publish a data product and let the AI agent consume that data set, as opposed to, for example, it's a perimeter control. They're not even coming to your main data source. They're coming to a data product which is already curated exactly, for that use case. So I think publishing high value data products that are real time,
Yeah.
what can open up this AI agent ecosystem.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Noel, so you spoke about different priorities that enterprises today have. So if I had to ask you, what would be the top three that enterprises are actually looking to double down on? Is it working on agentic apps, or is it still predictive analytics or customer personalization? Any of those areas? What do you think?
Are you talking about the use cases, or are you talking about it
Yeah.
just high level? Well, no, it's a good question as to what they're trying to implement. I would say definitely, the customer personalization, the customer 360, as you call it, unification of data for customer is a big push right now. Almost 50% of enterprises we have spoken to are focusing around this. Is hyper personalization of data for customer, so that they can give you better service. And it's whether it's B2B, B2C scenarios, like I was talking to one of the retailer, and the retailer wants that as soon as the customer enters a store, they need to actually give them better service, as to what the products they've been buying and what they've been hunting for, and then give them even additional discounts on the spot for that particular customer, in addition to already the discounts that's available. And that's a hyper personalization thing, and that needs to happen in seconds and milliseconds. we believe agentic AI is really prime time for that customer personalization, hyper personalization. It's already evolving right now in the retail media space and in financial services sector as well. But that's like the starting point. We also see a trend around the what we call agentic applications, right? Agentic applications are basically IT operations trying to troubleshoot platform integration or stack integration, which is a very big complex scenario. Imagine an application not working very correctly, or something. There's an issue of governance. Agentic AI is actually can really pinpoint some of those issues right away, which I think is going to be very powerful as well. So we have seen solutions coming down the way. There's also agentic AI helping you in improving data quality. I think it's a big opportunity here. As I mentioned, data quality is so bad. Well, not bad as in bad, but it is bad enough that we need to really protect our data, but also making sure that data quality is high data quality. Agentic AI can really take an opportunity here to really help identify anomalies automatically and detect those, right? And not use that data or give an opportunity to improve on that data so that data is cleansed as well, right? So we have so many things going on. So I think customer 360 agentic AI applications are the ones which are there. But there's also going to be analytics and BI that needs improvement, especially when it comes to real time. I think AI plays a big role in delivering those value for AI. So it's giving AI for BI purposes, I guess, right? Making it more real time for that reason, you know.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Now, the last question to you would be, you spoke about agentic AI and the kind of thing, kind of stuff which is happening around it. But when you think of it from a long-term perspective, or maybe a near to long-term perspective, say a 2 to 3 year window, or maybe a 5 year window, what do you think the IT leaders need to focus on today to be ready for that?
Is that for me?
Yeah, for you, Noel.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about data readiness for AI. Get your data ready for AI. Simple as that, right? That's the first thing. I think majority of the people don't really. I think 75% of people are not ready with the data for AI. To be honest, I think they need to be ready. When I say ready, it means the data quality, the data unification, the data availability, the data security, the governance. All of these have to be there. If it's not there, there's going to be a problem, basically. So I think data readiness is going to be the most important thing. They need to start focusing on today. Don't wait for it. That's number one. Number two is, there's going to be scale issues and availability issues in the horizon as well. Agentic AI and AI is going to demand more CPU resources, more storage resources. Be prepared for your infrastructure to scale, infrastructure to manage the growth. Because if you're not going to be doing that, you're going to have a problem with scaling your AI. Because agentic AI is going to take on a lot of compute, including GPUs, including those core processing units, but also storage as well, right? So make and availability. It needs to be 24/7 available. That's going to be important as well. And I think human in the loop is right now required. So definitely human in the loop is going to be an important element for people to leverage. As I call it, not human in the loop. It's going to be like subject matter in the loop required at the moment. But I think next year or two, we're going to start to moving towards human in the loop, towards then completely autonomous, right? That's how this is going to be progressing over the years. But for today, focus on governance, focus on readiness, focusing on scale, availability. I think those are the big things,
Awesome. Well, I think that's where we close. We had an amazing session. Thank you so much, Noel. Thank you so much, Ivan. And to all of you who have joined us, thank you so much for joining and hope you had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.